Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. My name is Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
We are going into the ocean in today's program. It's our all-English lecture, and we're talking about animals. You can find animals on land, and you can find them in the air, and you can find them in the sea. So we're going in the ocean in today's program, and we're going to be talking about seahorses. Isn't that amazing? Seahorse is basically the same thing in Chinese, 海马. Oops, I spoke Chinese there, but that was just for reference there. But in any case, yes, from now on, we'll be speaking only in English. But yes, seahorses, that word is the same in Chinese. And, well, they're nature's fantastic fish. They're not only cute, they not only look like tiny little horses, but they're also very fascinating, and there's a lot to learn about them.
I think they're adorable. I think they're one of the coolest things we have on planet Earth are seahorses. And not just how they look, but how they move. They're really quite quick and they dart, around in, I don't know, maybe you have an aquarium at home or a fishbowl. But I love seahorses. They're so cute and they're tiny. So let's get started. We're calling them nature's fantastic fish. It's still early morning off the coast of Dorset, England. But beneath the grayish-green waves, a spectacular natural display has begun to take place. Floating in between the ribbons of gently swaying seaweed, a pair of seahorses twist and curl around each other. This dance, a daily bonding ritual, is just one reason why these animals are perhaps the most remarkable creatures under the sea. Instantly recognizable by their unique heads, which give them the appearance of a horse, there are up to 55 different species of seahorses around the world. These tiny fish swim upright, pushing themselves forward with a fin on their back that beats 30 to 70 times per second. Beneath this, their flexible, monkey-like tail allows them to anchor themselves to vegetation and avoid being washed away by strong currents. Not just known for their unique appearances, seahorses also have a reputation as some of the most romantic animals in the deep. Unlike most fish, they mate for life. This unique behavior is made even more interesting by the fact that it is the male that becomes pregnant. This happens when the female lays her eggs in a special pouch in his abdomen, where they remain until it's time for the babies to hatch. Despite their extensive range, a number of seahorse species are currently under threat. 8 of them are endangered, largely due to commercial fishing, water pollution, and being hunted for use in traditional Chinese medicine. However, it is not too late for these populations to recover. There is one thing we can certainly still take away from these fascinating animals: an incentive to better protect the world's seas.
Okay, let's start talking about seahorses in today's program. They are nature's fantastic fish. And it's our all-English lecture again. Now, it's still early morning off the coast of Dorset, England, but beneath the grayish-green waves, a spectacular natural display has begun to take place. We could be anywhere in the world. We can probably find seahorses everywhere we go, right here in Taiwan as well. I suspect our article today was written by a British gentleman, but that's okay. They've got seahorses in England as well. I imagine they're in Dorset, which I think is, southwest England, next to Cornwall or something like that. Down there, getting down to the southwest there. And it's got a nice ocean coast there. I understand they've got lots of fossils there and stuff that you could check out if you're into that sort of thing. But of course, they've got the ocean there. So if you go scuba diving underneath those grayish-green waves, then you're in for a treat here. You're going to have a spectacular natural display which has begun to take place. So if something's spectacular, that means it's really cool to look at. Spectacle there refers to something that you see, so this would be quite amazing to see. It's spectacular if you see, say, Chinese opera, for example, or one of those puppet shows. That would be quite spectacular to see. And in this particular case, you're going to see some seahorses. That is spectacular, but it's a natural display or performance that has started to take place. And here, take place just means to happen, basically. We could say the basketball tournament is going to take place in 1 week. It's going to happen.
Cool. Well, I've never actually seen these with my own eyes in the real ocean. You know, if I go and have a mask and I'm just doing some of the on top of the water looking down.
Snorkeling?
Snorkeling, thank you. Scuba diving, you need oxygen tanks on your back, and you actually have to be trained before they'll let you go scuba diving. But snorkeling, I've never seen them when I've put my little, mask and goggles under the water to look. Have you seen them with your own eyes?
No, not in a natural setting. I have seen them, of course, in aquariums. The aquarium in, what is it, Wanli there? Or Yelio?
Oh, I don't know.
They've got a little aquarium there that has seahorses. At least they did the last time I was there. But they're quite cute. You can see them in a fish tank there. But, of course, if you're lucky enough to go scuba diving off the coast of Dorset, England, then you will see these seahorses floating in between the ribbons of gently swaying seaweed. A pair of seahorses twist and curl around each other. Isn't that sweet? Of course, if you're under the water, you can see seaweed kind of swaying back and forth. To sway just means to kind of move back and forth. Sometimes buildings will sway during an earthquake. That can be quite scary, of course, if you're up on a high floor. If you were in 101 during that earthquake.
I was.
Was that in April?
I was in 101.
Okay, so you felt the building swaying back and forth?
It was moving quite a bit. Sway to me is very gentle. Sometimes the earthquake, and that one was really kind of rough. Even though 101, of course, is a very safe building during an earthquake. It was shaking, I would say. But swaying, we sway when we dance, guys. You sway to the beat, sway to the rhythm. And of course, if you're looking at nature, sometimes if you're in a field of tall grass, the grass will sway in the wind. So so ribbons of gently swaying seaweed. We're describing the seaweed. Ribbons describes just little strips. Little thin strips of something. So ribbons of seaweed. Of course, women, when we're young at least, we wear ribbons in our hair. You might have ribbons on a dress. But yeah, they're swaying back and forth. And what are we looking at? A pair of seahorses. And they twist and curl around each other. Curl is a round shape, kind of like a spiral. I have very curly hair, and if I have it down, I usually wear it up in a ponytail. If I have it down, it looks like little spiral curls. So that's what their tails look like. So it's kind of fun that they use their tails to kind of embrace, you could say.
I remember my sister used to use a curling iron when she was younger to make her hair more curly. But in this particular case, the twisting, they're kind of moving around each other. This is a boy and a girl. And this dance, a daily bonding ritual, is just one reason why these animals are perhaps the most remarkable creatures under the sea. So it's a bonding ritual. Of course, a ritual is something you do in certain situations. You could have rituals for different kinds of holidays. A ritual in the U.S. during Christmas would be to set up the Christmas tree, give each other presents and stuff like that, sing at Christmas carols. And this is a bonding ritual. Bonding means people are getting closer together, okay? Sometimes people will bond with dogs, for example. The dog becomes their beloved pet. They love it. They're very sad when the dog dies. And in this particular case, these are two seahorses bonding with each other, getting closer together.
Oh, nice. Yeah, anytime you become better friends, you could say, oh, we've been bonding, or we've bonded over our love for chocolate. chocolate, something like that. Different things bring people together. So this is a dance that they do, and it's just one of the reasons why people think a seahorse is pretty spectacular and remarkable. So instantly recognizable by their unique heads. Yeah, sometimes I forget, Tom, that a seahorse is actually a fish. I always think of him as some sort of little creature that's a little part horse, part something else, but they really are just fish. But they have very unique or very special heads, which give them the appearance of a horse. I can't believe how many different species there are of them. We've got 55 different species of seahorses around the world. So depending on what water you're looking at, what ocean or sea you're looking at, you might run into several different species in one place, who knows? But there are different kinds of seahorses around the world. Species is just a certain breed, a certain type. We talk about species when we talk about animals, but when we talk about plants...
Sure we do, but we're talking about animal species here, or species. You could say species or species.
Yeah, either way is fine. Shh or s. Species is what most people say.
Okay.
But yeah, very interesting. You might have to look that up online to see all 55.
Right, I'm sure they're all very cute. They look like horses. Just in the head, the rest of them don't really look like horses so much.
And they're tiny. They're so
They
cute.
are very small. When I first saw them, I was surprised. My goodness, they are tiny, as it says here. These tiny fish swim upright, which means they don't swim with their bodies left to right like fish do. They're more upright. Okay, in an upright...
They're vertical.
Vertical, there you go.
They're not horizontal, right? Most fish are horizontal.
That makes sense, right? So they are swimming upright. Sit upright in your chair. Don't slouch.
Or, on the airplane, put your tray tables in their upright position.
There you go.
Listen for that next time, yeah.
Indeed. So they are swimming vertically, and they push themselves forward with a fin on their back that beats 30 to 70 times per second. I guess you would have to look at that closely. I don't remember seeing that, but yes.
They move really fast, though. Remember how they just go, boop, and they move? Kind of like a hummingbird. You know how he or she flaps their wings really fast? They move kind of like that. Zoop, zoop, zoop.
Yep, and they're moving so fast that you can't really see the wings flapping.
Yeah.
In this case, you can't see the fin beating back and forth because they do it so quickly.
I've never noticed that, really.
I'm going to pay attention to that next time.
Me too.
Of course, the fin beats 30 to 70 times per second. And beneath this, their flexible monkey-like tail allows them to anchor themselves to vegetation and avoid being washed away by strong currents. So, of course, monkeys have tails. Apes do not, like chimpanzees. They don't have tails. But
gorillas.
monkeys, gorillas don't have tails either, but monkeys do. Like the Formosa macaque here in Taiwan. It has a tail, I believe. And they use their tails to grab onto things. You know, if you see monkeys in the zoo, you'll see them grabbing onto things with their tails, maybe swinging by their tails. So these seahorses have tails that are like monkeys, and they can anchor themselves to plants or vegetation in the water, and that stops them from being washed away by currents in the ocean. They want to stay put there because they're looking for food or they're hanging out with their best friend or whatever. So indeed, to anchor here as a verb just means to hold yourself firm. Usually a ship will have an anchor, which is a large piece of metal that they throw overboard to keep the ship from drifting away. But here anchor is being used as a verb. The ship is anchored in the harbor.
Right. So they're trying to avoid being washed away by strong current. Currents are either a body of water or maybe some air moving in a definite direction. And it goes pretty quickly sometimes. Swimmers are warned about strong currents because if they're not good swimmers, they could be washed out to sea and actually die. So that's why we have those lifeguards there and signs posted warning swimmers of strong currents. Well, they don't want to be, swept away by the currents in the ocean either. So it's a way to keep themselves anchored or stable in one spot. Right now, guys, even though we don't have our Chinese teacher, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back. Welcome back, guys. It's our all-English lecture, meaning we have no Chinese teacher today.
Oh, no.
And even though Tom messed up at the beginning and spoke Chinese, we are not supposed to speak Chinese. It's just English. We're talking about a really, really cute fish called the seahorse. I've only seen them in aquariums. If a friend maybe had a big fish bowl, they might have one seahorse. But I've never seen them actually out in the ocean.
Me neither. I have not seen them in the open ocean, but I'm sure a lot of you out there have friends who do scuba diving if you don't do it yourself, so you probably know good places in Taiwan where you can see wild seahorses.
Cool.
So let's summarize what we've been talking about. Of course, they are interesting in that they kind of twist and curl around each other as sort of a bonding ritual. And they look like horses because of their head. And there are about 50 different species of them around the world, 55.
Wow. Yeah.
And they swim upright and they push themselves with their fin that beats between 30 to 70 times per second. That's pretty cool. And of course, they also have that tail that latches onto things so they don't get washed away by those strong currents. Okay, so let's look at the next paragraph here. It says, not just known for their unique appearances, seahorses also have a reputation as some of the most romantic animals in the deep. Okay, so they're not only known for their appearance or their appearances, which is very unique, which is very special, one of a kind, but they also have this reputation as being really romantic. Okay, they're great lovers. Okay, I understand that they mate for life. Okay, the boy and the girl stay together as couples, where that's not so natural in the animal kingdom.
I think the penguin does. There's another animal that seems to come to mind.
Yeah, I think so. The male will keep the eggs warm while the mother goes out hunting or something like that for weeks at a time. But, of course, seahorses are very romantic here. They are the most romantic animals in the deep. You could also say of the deep. The deep just refers to the ocean. Okay, just anything having to do with the ocean. And unlike most fish, they mate for life. They meet each other. They are smitten with each other. They fall in love. It's love at first sight. And they stay together through thick and thin. They stay together until the end of their lives.
Cool. Let's talk about this vocabulary word here, reputation. Your reputation is what others think about you, the opinions they have about you, what they've heard about you. And sometimes we have to be very careful and protect our reputations. It's easy to destroy someone's reputation through gossip or falsely accusing someone of something. But you don't have a reputation yourself of yourself, if that makes sense. It's other people, how they view you, and the opinions they hold about what kind of person you are. Reputation is neutral. So you either have to say he has a great reputation or he has a rotten reputation or a really bad reputation for being lazy. You can also have a reputation for something. For example, he has a reputation of always showing up to work late. Or she has a reputation of always being very, very careful with her project. You can be guaranteed that you won't find any mistakes. So whatever you do, the actions that you take will reflect on other people's opinions about you, and it will kind of make up your reputation, so be careful with that.
Okay, so again, seahorses mate for life. They're together for life, boy and girl together. And this unique behavior is made even more interesting by the fact that it is the male that becomes pregnant. Okay, pregnant means you have a baby inside of you. I think the female has the eggs, but then, of course, she lays the eggs inside the male, which we'll get to in a second.
She stores them there.
I don't think it's the female that chases after the male and, tries to get him pregnant. I think it's not quite that simple, but I think it explains this further in the next sentence.
Yeah, because they're laying eggs.
Right, the eggs are actually laying. So this happens when the female lays her eggs in a special pouch in his abdomen, where they remain until it's time for the babies to hatch. Now, isn't that nice?
Cute.
Wouldn't it be nice if humans could do that? I mean, she gets pregnant, but then she puts the baby inside the male, so she doesn't have to get backaches and get morning sickness and have cravings for certain kinds of food and stuff like that. It's the man who will have to do that. That's not how it works in humans, but I guess that's how it works in seahorses here. So yes, he's got the eggs in a special pouch in his abdomen. So here we've got the word pouch, which is kind of like a pocket. We talk about kangaroos having a pouch where they carry their babies around.
Yeah.
And abdomen, of course, means the middle part of your body where your belly is. The abdomen, which is related to abdominal muscles. When men work out at the gym, I suppose women as well, they can get well-developed abs or abdominal muscles. They sometimes call those six-pack abs, where it looks like a six-pack of beer.
Yeah. Kind of hard to get, very difficult. You not only have to do a lot of exercising, but you have to really have a very strict diet. So good luck for you guys out there that are trying. Girls can have really great abs. You actually hear people say abs these days instead of abdominal muscles. But yeah, abdomen is your stomach. You would never say, I have an abdomen ache.
No.
You could have a belly ache. You could have a stomach ache.
Or a tummy ache.
A tummy ache is for little kids, yeah. Oh, my tummy hurts. Yeah, that's a real word. I forgot about tummy. That's a cute one. So that's where these eggs remain until it's time for the babies to hatch. Not to be born. They're in eggs, so they're going to hatch. If it's a real baby and not in an egg, it's a mammal baby. They are born, they don't hatch, but here we're talking about babies in eggs.
Okay, so that's still very romantic. He's quite the father there. And despite their extensive range, a number of seahorse species are currently under threat. So despite, even though it's true, despite their extensive range, they're still endangered. At least some species are in trouble. Extensive just means going off in all sorts of directions, or it involves a lot. He has extensive experience in business. Okay, so hire him. He's a great guy. He has extensive experience. So here they have an extensive range. They live all over the world in various places in the north and the south and tropical areas, etc., etc. But even though this is true, a number of seahorse species, I guess you could say some seahorse species, are currently under threat. You could say they are threatened with extinction.
Yeah, a number of isn't an exact a number, so you kind of have to guess. So if you're using that, you don't want to have a number that's too big, you know, like 50. You can't, that wouldn't be a number of. But several, some. We find out in the next sentence that it's actually 8. I think that's okay. A number of could be 8. 8 of them are endangered. If there is a species that's been declared endangered, oh, it's an endangered species, it means we're getting down to very few numbers of them. We have to protect them. And if we don't, they will become extinct or no longer be on planet Earth. I think there's a rhinoceros, a rhino, that we're getting to that point. Anyway, we want to protect the animals that are endangered. Why are they endangered or in danger of being killed off? Well, it's largely due or mostly due to commercial fishing that's done to take the fish and then sell the fish at market. Water pollution, which is really a big problem. Too much plastic and junk and garbage is going into the ocean. That's bad, and that kills a lot of these sea animals. And sometimes we eat sea animals that have taken in the trash that they eat. Be careful.
It's kind of disgusting.
It's gross. And they're also being hunted for use in traditional Chinese medicine.
Okay, so that seems to be quite common. Lots of animals are hunted because they make good ingredients for Chinese medicine, perhaps for other purposes as well. However, it is not too late for these populations to recover. We can still do something about it. Maybe use less plastic. Maybe eat less seafood or something like that. Don't dump polluted stuff into the ocean or whatever.
That happens a lot.
Does happen. So there is one thing we can certainly still take away from these fascinating animals: an incentive to better protect the world's seas. Okay, so of course there are different bodies of water around the world, so we call them the seas. Sometimes we refer to the ocean in general as the 7 seas.
However, as Tom says, it's not too late. We just need to focus on how to save some of these endangered species. There is one thing we can certainly still take away or remember or keep in mind, you could say, from these fascinating animals. An incentive to better protect the world's seas. If you have an incentive to do something, someone's giving you kind of something that motivates you, or maybe it's a little bribe to do better. I had an incentive to get better grades because as I got, A's on my report card, I would get a little bit more spending money, which was fun. So that was my incentive. A lot of people have different types of incentives. I always have an incentive to go to bed on time because if I don't, I end up not sleeping well. So it doesn't have to be a real incentive. It's just something that motivates you to change your behavior or do something, accomplish something.
Yeah, I was going to say, for example, in Taiwan here or in other places, people have little incentive to save electricity or to save water because those things are so cheap. The government doesn't charge us very much for water and electricity, so we have no incentive to save water. So we always keep the water running when we're brushing our teeth and stuff like that. Maybe they should raise the prices. I don't either. But my goodness, if they raise the prices...
It's hard on people, though, that are poor. So, yeah, we can raise prices and hopefully it affects people's behavior. But we've done studies, Tom. It doesn't really affect behavior. And it makes it hard for people who don't have a lot of money. Just remember, there are some things we can do, though. Put on your thinking caps. That's what we would do as kids. Teachers would say, put on your thinking caps and come up with some ideas. We hope you continue to discuss this issue, though, with your friends and family. Maybe you're in class. And see how you can help these cute little creatures, and some of them which are endangered, we want to protect.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of our discussion. Thank you for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. From all of us here at English Digest, my name is Tom.
I'm Stephanie. See ya.
Goodbye.